And ladies and gentlemen, Happy New Year here from the Digital Daily Fix as we bring you a surprise podcast before the Digital Reload Best of tonight. You thought that was first for our return. You were wrong. CrisisCast Marvel Now, Wave Double I.
Double I. And
we're back.
Me and Brian are going to have some very non-fictional feelings about fictional characters today.
Well, I can tell you I am not talking about Spider-Man on this at all.
Maybe a little bit.
If you bring it up first.
Well, he is in the Avengers.
He is, but it's not.
That's about as much as we're going to talk about him.
Yeah, because you had your say in your show. I had my say in that write-up.
But hey, that's all I need to say is he's in the Avengers.
He is.
And I'm actually looking forward to that when people are around him all the time.
Yeah, when he's around the bazillion-member squad of the Hickman Avengers book.
Oh, yeah.
How the fuck will he get away with that?
I don't know. But there's going to be an instance before that because Avenging Spider-Man is going to be his first appearance, and the X-Men, Wolverine's X-Men are in that one.
Yes. Well, he's already appeared in Avenging Spider-Man. He was in 15.1. I actually bought that because I like in a lot of reviews. I mean, I'm not, just to be quick and clean. I liked for the most part Spider-Man 700. I hated the end. I hated the reveal. Not a fan. But skipping past that, we're not going to get into that. Avenging Spider-Man 15.1 was to dive further into that, the changing of the costume, him going through some of the daily live things and all this stuff. And a lot of people are saying, like, oh, it dives deeper into what he's going to be starting in Superior Spider-Man #1, which, I will be getting because we got to do this podcast again. We got to do it at the end. We got to do it at the end of this month or beginning of February. But I read it. I'm like, okay, I'll see. Maybe give it a second chance. Maybe there's something in here that will make me go, okay, now I understand Superior Spider-Man. Now I understand the decision. I read it. I still was like, I don't fucking like this. Like, I'm sitting there reading it. I'm like, nope, I can't do it. I don't like Octo Spidey. I don't like the fact that he's just sitting, like, the whole issue is just him talking shit about how Peter Parker it's like, how did you go through all this shit? How did you do this? All this shit sucks. All these people are dumb. He's just like sitting there just shitting all over him. Like, I can't believe you did this. I'm smarter than you. I'm going to do everything better. And then he makes the new costume, and he never explains any of it. He doesn't explain the one claw in the toe. He doesn't explain the claws in the hands. He explains the goggles. The eyepieces in the mask are now, like, think of it like looking through the eyes of Tony Stark's Iron Man costume. Like, it's got, like, data logs, and it'll analyze things, and so they actually have a function now instead of just being sunglasses. But they don't explain anything else. And after I was done, I was like, I got nothing, man. Unless Slott comes out at the end of Superior Spider-Man and goes, gotcha, fuckers. It's not even him anymore. It's someone completely different. Which that ain't going to happen.
No, unfortunately.
But, who am I to judge, I guess. I don't hate Dan Slott. I hate this decision that he made, but the work that I enjoyed of his outweighs this. I can't just instantly hate the guy. I just hate his decision.
You just want to go back to a simpler time when Dan Slott was writing Ren and Stimpy.
Wait, this is the Nickelodeon Ren and Stimpy, right?
No, I'm talking about like the comic book version of Ren and
okay.
Stimpy.
No, that's good. That's fine. If you were about to say the Spike TV version of Ren and Stimpy, then I was about to like flip a table and go, nope, that's it. Because I don't need Octo to be gay. But, I can't wait to watch him rape MJ. And something other than Superior Spider-Man. I already started ordering the bi-weekly issues for Ultimate Spider-Man. That's my Spider-Man book.
Okay.
That's it until Peter Parker comes back.
Okay. That sounds good for you.
No, thank you. I know, right?
Yeah.
Pretzels are good.
I still have to wait another week, I guess, before I get my Superior Spider-Man 1.
Does it not come out this week for everybody?
No.
Really?
Yeah. At least not in my store.
That's weird. Yeah, because I got my copy coming on Wednesday. But what are the books we got this month? We only got 4.
Yeah, it's a small month. They gave us, as far as Marvel Now, Avengers, Thunderbolts, Avengers Arena, and Cable and X-Force. So 14 books, 1 solo.
Now, did you read Avengers Arena, or you kind of just skimmed through it?
I skimmed through it, mostly.
Okay, so that'll probably be more.
So that's more you. I have an idea on how I feel about it.
Yeah.
And
No,
I've told you, I'm more interested in X-Force and Cable because I like Cable, and I like the fact he goes through a lot of shit, and the fact that in that book they're actually more of the bad guys more than anything.
Yeah.
So I'd be more interested in that. Plus, Salvador Larroca does awesome art.
Yeah. Plus, I think that book's eventually going to involve guys like Mr. Sinister and stuff, and I think if that's the case, that's going to be pretty awesome.
Yeah. Plus, there's also still the other X-Force team if you're not interested in that. So.
Yeah. There's another. It's the Uncanny X-Force book, right?
Yeah.
I don't remember who's on that team.
I know. I know it's Psylocke, Storm, and then a few others. Husk and Spiral and one other. I forget who it was.
It's a weird team. Well, other than Psylocke. I just don't see Storm as a... I mean, you consider the X-Force as, like, the Black Ops team of X-Men. I just don't consider Storm Black Ops. Other than being African-American. But, I mean...
Well, you said it, not me. Good night, folks.
I don't understand... Like, I don't see her as a murderer. I mean, you know... Everyone that was in Remender's Uncanny X-Force book, I can see them all as murderers. I mean, Wolverine, Deadpool, and Psylocke, among Phantom X, and
it was Archangel, whatever.
Yes, Archangel before he went nuts and had his Age of Apocalypse story, which was really good. But I do like this X-Force team. So, Cable's X-Force team, I like that one.
Yeah,
because it brings back Forge.
Waiting for him to have his mental breakdown. That's all that be looking for it in that.
Yes, that'll be really cool. Well, do you want me to just get Avengers Arena out of the way?
We've been talking about Cable and the X-Force, so might as well just go ahead with that.
Sure. All right. Well, we'll go with that, and then we'll jump into Avengers Arena. You want me to do that, or you?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So, Cable and the X-Force is essentially going to be, or it starts out with a reveal that Cable has done something captured on film that looks a lot like a complete terrorist attack and involves the Uncanny Avengers, Cap's group of a mix of mutants and regular superheroes. Also, this is the book that seems like it's going to have the most involvement from Hope.
Well, she's got to do something, otherwise, she was around for 2 years, did her thing, and...
Yeah, I was waiting to see what book was going to be her involvement, because she was just involved in the big event that sets all of this forth. And I'm like, if she does all this just to go to high school and disappear, it's pretty lame.
Well, she does have the huge emotional attachment to Cable, so I'm not surprised she ended up going there.
Yeah, that's Daddy.
Yeah, for her.
So, for her. So there's the involvement of her trying to find Cable. Cable committing these acts, getting this team together. We don't really see too much recruitment of the team other than maybe Domino.
That's because Cable and Domino go together all the time.
Yeah.
So they'll be fucking eventually.
Yeah, and that was like that was completely accidental. Like it wasn't like even him going to Domino. Domino just kind of ran into him, and then it'll just go from there.
That's how they do.
Yeah, I do kind of like the approach for this book where they didn't follow the same rules or didn't follow the same steps as some of the other team books where they did individual introduction as to why each member's there. It's kind of like they're already together, and I guess they'll use the future issues to jump back and show. Because I do want to show like how they joined. Because I do want to see how Colossus joined. Because Colossus is technically on the run after the Phoenix 5 thing. I want to see how Forge ends up coming into this, because he's been nuts for the past, how many years? Yeah. So you got those two, Cable with his GIMP arm, now a robotic arm, because apparently curing the virus in his body did more damage than good.
He just needs to go back to having psychic power so he can hold it at bay.
Yeah, well,
be near God status.
He still has the psychic powers, doesn't he?
I don't remember if he got him back, because I know by the end of Cable and Deadpool he had died, and I know this is years back.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't remember what happened afterwards, because he had lost them during that series.
Okay.
And had to go back to using big guns and a scimitar.
Yeah. I would probably say the most character development in this first book is probably Forge and Cable, with the brief Havoc appearance at the beginning when he tells Cap to stand down, which I thought was kind of funny. But yeah, this is mainly just showing Cable's perspective and what's going on with him, Forge building what he needs, and I thought it was a decent introductory book. It's definitely one that I want to read more of.
Definitely.
So, it's got that going for it.
Alright, so let's do Avengers Arena and get that out of the way. Also, I felt like Cable and X-Force kind of had like maybe like a Mad Max meets Ocean 11's feel to it, if you know what I'm saying.
I get that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I get that. It'll be. It seems like, while it's going to focus on whatever mission is causing them to commit all these acts or commit all these crimes, it's going to be a lot of character development of like the core team itself and everything, which I like. Give Cable something to do, because obviously he doesn't seem, right now at least, he doesn't seem like somebody well equipped for a solo book. So
he usually isn't. He's always paired up with someone.
Yeah, give him a good team, and we'll see where that goes. So Avengers Arena is essentially the combination of Avengers Academy and the Runaways. Essentially, everyone from those two books have been brought together into Murder World by Arcade. Arcade, for the longest time in the Marvel Universe, has really been a joke villain. His core powers, the idea of Arcade is interesting. A guy that builds worlds that murder people, except his kill rate essentially had been 0%. So from what I understand, his most recent stint in jail, which was caused by Avengers Academy put him in jail during that initial run. He kind of reevaluated how he's gone about handling his criminal career and how much he's been a failure and everything. So now that he has been out, it's been his determination to reestablish himself as a villain to be taken seriously. So he has captured everyone from Avengers Academy, everyone from Runaways, and has basically put them in Marvel's version of Battle Royale or the Hunger Games.
Whichever you want. Pick one.
It's essentially, you're in Murder World. You will be in Murder World until you all kill each other and only one is left standing, and then I will let that one free.
Or murder them.
Or murder them, because, who knows?
Because he already murdered one of them.
He did, yes. Essentially, the book is interesting. It didn't grab me enough to say, like, oh, man, I need issue 2. It grabbed me enough for me to say, you know what, when the trade comes out, I think I would pick that up.
Yeah, but my only problem is again, because it's Arcade.
Mm-hmm.
I can't exactly take it entirely serious.
No, I got you.
But I do like how in the first issue it's all from a Hazmat's perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, and all her feelings and whatnot, because her deal is that she's trapped in the suit because if she's let out, she's like radiation poisoning to anyone near her. And Metal was the only person she could be around without killing because he had a steel body and he couldn't feel anything.
Yeah, and essentially, this is going to be a little spoilerish, I guess, because I'm the one that read it and it's fresh in my mind. Everybody essentially takes the typical hero approach that, well, you can't stop all of us and we're not going to murder each other. and there's nothing you can do, and blah blah blah, such and such. And then Arcade's response is, okay, if you don't want to murder each other, select your weakest link, and I will murder them, and this will show you how serious this thing is, because I'm not fucking around. People are going to die. And if I got to kill every single one of you, I'll do it, but you better start killing each other if you want to survive. And so Hazmat gets kind of picked out as the weakest link before Metal steps forward and claims himself to be the weakest one, sacrificing himself for Hazmat, and we have our first murder. We have our first death in
That's
Metal.
the part where I just go quote unquote. It's like I don't know about that.
I mean, because
again, this is Arcade. Most of his is mostly robots and illusions in his Murder World stuff. So you have to give me a pause there and say,
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is there, but I know from a lot of the interviews with the creator, he's saying like, no, Metal, that's Metal, and Metal's dead. I was actually
a likable character.
Yeah, I read a good chunk of Avengers Academy, and I liked Metal. I actually liked a lot of the core characters.
I didn't like Stryker.
He was the main one, the lightning guy, right? Yeah, he was a dick.
And gay.
Huh?
And gay.
Yeah.
Literally.
Oh, I know. He fucking sucked.
I was like, all right, I'm going to have a press conference. I'm gay.
Yeah, good for him, the rich bastard. I don't even think he's in this book, though.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, but either way, so we have our first death. They have promised that these deaths are not going to be frequent. He said, like, they said the goal of this book was not to put it together to murder everyone. It was not, but they're going to be in Murder World for a while, and deaths will occur. But it's not. He's like, I'm not putting everybody through the grindhouse. He's like, I'm not just going to murder everyone left and right. It's going to be spread out. It's going to be significant. That's what he says. That's what Marvel says. So we'll see. But the first issue I thought was pretty solid. If you have an attachment to the Avengers Academy characters, if you enjoyed that run, if you want to see what happens to them, I think you will be thoroughly pleased. You may be a little bit upset with the first reveal, but that first reveal was shown weeks ago on like every major comic book site.
Yeah.
And so I didn't spoil anything too dramatic, but that is to set the tone. It's basically they had to have a death in the first issue to set the tone that like people will die. So that was interesting, and I feel the book has potential. I'm going to let it get to the point where they collect its first trade paperback, and then I want to see where it evolved, and from there find out. It didn't immediately, but for me, it did not immediately hit my must continue list. Cable and the X-Force did.
I would read that one more. Yes.
Yeah, Cable and the X-Force did. This one
no.
did not. So what do we want to do for our third book? Which one?
Go back a page. Let's talk about Thunderbolts. As I would like to call it sometimes. Thunderbolt Ross does his version of college recruiting.
Yes. Son, I want you.
But most of that issue takes place of Thunderbolt Ross, the Red Hawk, going around and selecting people for a certain mission, and the primary of the books is the Punisher is in a chair, tied up, and Ross is just talking to him, and like, hey, there's a bunch of guys with guns coming, and you're gonna have to join my team, or you're just gonna get your head blown off, but and then he just pops up in front of Elektra and Venom and Deadpool, and not a whole lot of progress is done in the first issue.
Mm-hmm.
Most of that's just introduction of Ross, selecting these guys and whatnot. And one of the characters not recognizable is a character named Mercy, who had appeared in Peter David's Hulk run back in the 80s. Okay, and pretty much what you'll see from this character, Mercy, because she was the android who was on kind of shut down and behind the glass, and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And what she pretty much can do, she does the fly and levitate and turn, but she can also like turn intangible and invisible at the same time, and she can also teleport to other areas. and apparently she can also project energy spears. And mind you, I took this right from Wikipedia. And she can also shift into different shapes.
Mm-hmm.
Like she had been shown turning into a large amorphous lump, which can suffocate a victim, and she can also perfectly mimic a form and personality of another person. So that's the type of stuff she's going to be doing when she gets revealed. So pretty much she's all for infiltration.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what that character is going to end up doing. But I'm curious what's going to happen when she's actually resurrected, because she hasn't been resurrected yet.
Yeah.
They just showed her on page like this person that may or may not be a part of the team. And for those who read the second one, and obviously they showed it on the covers, there'll be a red leader. So, get any and all Star Wars jokes out if you want.
Yes,
because that's the first thing I thought of.
It is, and yeah, they showed that in the previews that they're bringing
Samuel Stearns.
Yeah, they're bringing Stearns back as Red Leader this time, and we'll see what happens there. Because in the preview pages, it's basically like, I'm bringing him back to give him enough power to access one memory, and then I'm killing him. And it's not as simple as that.
No, it's never that simple.
No.
Because you have to remember, the leader is one of the smartest characters in Marvel. Okay? Mm-hmm. You're not just going to bring him back and, that's it, done, moving on. It's never that easy.
No. So, this book gives you a strong idea that even though this is a team book, the two biggest focuses are going to be Thunderbolt Ross and the Punisher. Because that's who gets the most time in this issue. Even though I believe issue 2 puts a big focus on Venom.
Issue 2, I think, jumps around a little bit more. It doesn't really focus on anything. What I would like to see in issue 2 is more character interactions. Like, why do these people work with each other? How do they feel about each other?
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, for the most part, this is the first time this team has been assembled. Because when the Red Hulk was, going around being evil and didn't know it was Thunderbolt Ross, how it had assembled a little small-time team that had included the Punisher, Elektra, and Deadpool in that little group. Mm-hmm. And I think they fought off against Wolverine's X-Force before they became what they are now.
Yeah. And that point will be interesting. I mean, right now, I think so far the focus has been how these characters interact with Ross.
Yeah.
I do want to see when they're all together. How does Deadpool interact with Venom? How does Venom interact with Punisher? How does Elektra is probably the least of my interest, but she's there. I don't hate her, but she's out of the ones that I want to see. Who interacts how with what, or her kind of low end. But I like how Ross is written. I like how Punisher is written. I'm glad that Punisher's in a main book. It's been a while since he's been in like a bigger book other than his own. The Warzone series is ongoing. Final now, but before that it was mainly just Punisher's main book. He wasn't really featured or talked about or mentioned in any other major Marvel titles.
I really liked the Punisher War Journal that popped up after Civil War when he was going around. I really liked that stuff. That was done by Fraction.
Yeah, War Journal was really solid, and Punisher Max is
that's been around forever.
Yeah.
That's not going away.
Yeah, that's regarded as like probably one of the best Punisher series out there. And then they try to make a Deadpool Max, and I don't think that really took off as well.
That was disappointing.
Yeah, because a lot of people thought it's a more murderous Deadpool, a violent Deadpool book, but that's okay though. Deadpool fans now are redeemed.
The thing about Deadpool Max, Deadpool wasn't the main character.
Mm-hmm.
That's the worst part about that book.
Yeah, but they're redeemed now with the Deadpool Marvel Now book. I think as long as they keep that as the only Deadpool book, they're going to be in pretty good. Deadpool fans will be in pretty good shape.
We'll see.
Yeah, still early, but so far so good. So that leads us to our last book already. Then.
Yeah, there's like I said, quick episode. There's only 4 issues, so let's talk about Avengers and the big roster that's going to fill up here, because right now the roster at least the first six issues at least, or whatever, is going to have 18 members on it, and outside of the core group, which is going to be Cap, Iron Man, Thor, Hawkeye, and Black Widow, you also got, characters like, from Bendis's run, like Captain Marvel, even though she's been there for a long time. You got Spider-Man, you got Wolverine, you got Spider-Woman, and then they reach into some Cap's old friends in Falcon, and then they bring in characters who haven't been Avengers at all, and this is what new Avengers books do. They bring in characters that haven't been there before, so they bring in X-Men type characters like Cannonball and Sunspot, and then they bring in Shang-Chi, who's been around in Marvel for a long time, but he hasn't really had a book to latch onto. So
yeah, his last big thing was he was in Secret Avengers.
Yeah, and he was dealing with his daddy. And
then he also made a brief appearance in Amazing Spider-Man, teaching Spider-Man Kung Fu.
Yeah, because Spider-Man had lost his spider sense.
Yes.
Then they bring in Captain Universe, who is a character that's jumped around all over the place, always inhabited a new body. So whatever purpose Captain Universe has, it's going to be huge.
Mm-hmm.
So that isn't something to look slight at. Then you got Hyperion, and I don't know what you know about the Squadron Supreme. They were pretty much the knockoff JLA in Marvel. Okay, and Hyperion was their Superman, and Hyperion's batshit crazy.
That could prove to be interesting.
Okay, and you got Manifold and Smasher, and that about rounds out the team.
Mm-hmm.
But in the first issue, you pretty much got the main core group going to this. What was it? Mars? It was Mars, right?
I think so. Yeah.
And and they meet this world hopper who pretty much is, I guess, judging Earth or whatnot, and deciding whether or not it should live or be destroyed. And so the Avengers team goes there, and they take the Hulk and twist him around to attack the Avengers, because God knows that's not happened before.
Yeah, I was reading the book, and I was happy, like, hey, Hulk's in an Avengers book again, yay! They mind controlled him again. God damn it! I was like, come on.
The two most susceptible characters to be mind controlled are on the Avengers right now.
Yes,
with Hulk and Wolverine. If there's anyone you want to mind control, it's Hulk and Wolverine.
Jesus.
Because God knows you don't want to mind control Captain America and Iron Man for some reason.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, it's fine though, because maybe Wolverine won't be so susceptible to mind control because he's now the X-Men's Professor X, essentially. Yeah, I know.
But I'm looking forward to what's going to transpire in this book as it progresses, because these first 6 issues, you're one of the main ones is Spider-Man. Okay, and I know we're going to briefly talk about him, but he's one of the main ones, because the first 6 issues it is Peter Parker under the mask, but after that it is all Otto Octavius under the mask, and that's kind of what I'm looking forward to in the future. But pretty much Hickman always has this idea of starting small and working to a big conclusion always.
Yeah,
and he always has the whole sci-fi epic going on, whatever. So whatever's going to be happening here is going to be huge. And
he wastes no time getting to Tony Stark's point that the Avengers need to get bigger.
Well, that was the jumping off point from when the Bendis's run ended, so that's the jumping off point. Yeah,
and I kind of like that. It was like the issue began, Tony Stark's like, hey, what we need to do? We need to get more people. And then they go into space, and they get roughed up by this dude they've never encountered, and Captain America send crashing back down to Earth, and he's like, you know what? All right, boop, more people. And it's basically like the last pages are to say, like, here's all these people. They're going back to Mars. So
get your ass to Mars.
Get your ass to Mars. So I thought that was pretty good. Hickman, if I remember correctly, was he the one that was last working on Fantastic Four?
Fantastic Four and FF.
And he was getting a lot of praise for his Fantastic Four run. So he knows how to work team books. Granted, those were like teams of like 4 to like 8. This is going to be a lot more than he's handled, and it's going to be a lot more main characters than he's handled. But still, it's It's not bad. It's definitely. I always pick up the main Avengers book, so I'll definitely continue to check it out just to see where they go with it. Depending on where he goes, it may be one that I start and then drop, but I'm not in that decision yet. So it's one of those where I was like, decent starting point. Hey.
One thing Hickman is definitely going to do, he's going to weave both that book and New Avengers together.
Whatever's that's his book too, right?
Yeah. Whatever is going to happen, those two books are going to come together at some point.
Yeah, I mean, it involves at least two similar characters, Iron Man and Cap.
That's about it.
So, it'll be interesting. Yeah, short month. 3 very solid books. One that has, at least for me, one that has promise. Avengers Arena. I think it only really applies to people that have attachment to those characters.
Probably.
I don't think, if you never read Avengers Academy, I don't think this is the jumping on point.
I liked it initially when it was just the 6, students, but when it expanded, I was like, too many.
Yeah, but they gave a good long run to those original 6 before they added X-23 and everything. So.
I didn't mind X-23 joining them. It was just the one.
It was the Runaways.
Is when they added the 16 others into the group. It was like, I don't want to see this.
Yeah.
I also didn't mind there being White Tiger, because that is someone who I thought definitely be someone who gives the other characters a push. Like, come on, get better.
Yeah. So I mean, if you have an attachment to those characters, I think that's more of the book for you. The others are pretty solid. I would definitely, as far as these 4, I would probably do Cable and the X-Force, Thunderbolts, Avengers Arena.
That's probably about right. But I would probably put Avengers at the top because there's going to be a big payoff.
Yeah, I mean the potential for a big payoff is much larger.
But if you're just talking single issue, I'd probably put Avengers Arena at the top because of the impact it has. What they show off in that book.
Mm-hmm.
And I would put Thunderbolts at the bottom because there wasn't really any progress in the book.
That's very true. There was little to no progress.
That would be my opinion at least.
But for me, I like the art for Thunderbolts. I also enjoy the art for Cable and the X-Force. All of them were actually pretty strong. Like, there wasn't really an ugly book.
Not whatsoever.
Yeah, not like last month. There was a few stinkers in there, at least for me.
You didn't like FF, and I didn't mind it, so that's where we differ on that one.
Yeah. Next month, this month, January, I believe we already got 2 books.
Yeah. There will be a Superior Spider-Man, there will be a Savage Wolverine, and whatever else comes out.
Those 2, Morbius, New Avengers. I'll have to look to see what else. I'm trying to think if I don't think the Defenders book is this month.
I don't think so either, and I don't think Nova is either. Oh, Uncanny X-Men.
Is that this month?
I think that's this month.
I think that is this month because, for the most part, All New X-Men has been a bi-weekly book, but for this month there's only 1 issue. Because I think they were doing that to then do
Help
Uncanny.
Pave the way for Uncanny, I guess.
Yeah. And All New X-Men has continued to be pretty damn solid.
Would you like to add anything for that to this month?
What?
All New X-Men.
All New X-Men has continued to be really solid. They finally finished the transformation for Beast, which has brought him back to ape style instead of cat style.
You know what I think he looks like? I think he looks like a whole lot like Sasquatch from Alpha Flight.
I can see that, yeah.
That's what I first thought when I looked at him. It's like,
yeah,
why is Sasquatch in this book?
Once they get him back to into a uniform and everything, then I want to see how that looks. Right now, it's just like he's being carried around like, I'm tired and morphed. But those are good. Some of the other ones I haven't been able to pick up the second issues yet. I just placed my catch up order online yesterday, where I was like, well, there's all these books that number ones that I want to continue following. How far behind am I? Oh, I'm this far behind on this one. So I ordered everything to catch up. So I'm in the process of doing that. I've read New Avengers and Morbius so far. I will say, if anything about those, I'll make one quick comment about Morbius. Morbius was the one I was looking forward to reading the least, and came out surprised.
Really?
I'll go. That's as far as I'll go, and I'll
Okay,
save it for
okay,
next month.
okay.
But I can talk to you off the air about it. But ladies and gentlemen, as far as everything else goes, this is a very short episode, just a little over half hour, only 4 books. But we'll be back for a bunch more as we do Wave 3 of Marvel Now. I believe February we'll end up wrapping it up. So we'll have, I think, 4 volumes, and I think we're good. Or am I wrong? Is there more in March?
Wasn't the other Wolverine book coming out in March?
Maybe March is our last month. Whatever. Who
cares?
We'll get through it. Anyway, as far as the evaluation of any of these series past issue 1, be sure to stay tuned to Crisis in Infinite Comics for Tim. Whatever books he continues to pick up, he will be reviewing the future issues from there.
Young Avengers.
That's this month?
That's also this month.
That's going to be fucking great.
I'm actually interested in that.
I'm
book.
really excited for that one, mainly for Loki.
Mainly, yes, yes, mainly for Loki.
Loki trying to recruit people. Like, the preview pages of that was hilarious. But yeah.
And the other X-Force book comes out this month.
Okay.
I'm looking at Marvel's release page.
Okay. All right, so we got like 7 or 8, something like that.
Yeah, it'll be heftier than this.
Yes, it'll be a much heftier volume. So look forward to Wave 3 or Wave III. End of this month, beginning of next month, whenever we get the time. If you haven't yet, please go to digitaldailyfix.com. If you are a fan of video games, if you are a fan of wrestling, if you are a fan of both, we currently have our best of 2012 polls on digitaldailyfix.com right now. You can go to both entries, place your personal votes as to who you think who you think will win. Those categories and the nominees are the ones that we're going to reveal our personal picks for each one tonight and tomorrow night. But we're also going to reveal the final tallies for the fan polls. So make sure you get over to digitaldailyfix.com, find the best of 2012 polls for Chinlock and Digital Reload, and then be sure to come back to Spreaker.com tonight around 7 o'clock as we do the best of 2012 edition for the Digital Reload. We will reveal our Game of the Year, Best Developer, Worst Game of the Year, everything else, underrated, overrated. It'll all be there, all in a nice presentation. We'll have guest panelists, and it should be a good way to kick off digitaldailyfix.com into the new year.
Hooray!
Hooray! So, we'll see you all in about 3 hours and 15 minutes, give or take, as long as bastards show up on time. See y'all then.